Thing number one, Gary, we talked about just a minute ago the irony, and Fed governors proclaim the Fed has an infinite amount of dollars, but they're also saying that Bitcoin is worth zero. So again, we got another issue of breaking the irony meter. Thing number one, Gary, there's an infinite amount of CASHkaris with CASH all in capitals as a part of his name. Ignorance at the Federal Reserve. Gary, tell us what Neel's saying.
Yeah, so that one, that title was a little bit of intern wordplay. The Federal Reserve Governor we're talking about is Neel Kashkari, Kashkari, and one of our great interns changed that to CASHkari, CASHkari. First of all, just a side point on this, Rob. This is the chattiest bunch of Fed governors I have ever seen in my life. Every week, these guys are in front of TV cameras talking about their view on the economy. It was not this way in the past. The Fed would just inform you what the Fed funds rate is. I am firmly in the belief that if you want to interview a Federal Reserve governor, all you have to do is go to the end of your driveway, put an unguarded microphone there, and they'll just start showing up because these guys can't resist a microphone and camera. Anyway, Kashkari told us that there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. Let's give them credit for telling the truth in public. This is true. They just push a button, they create digital dollars, and here we are. And if any of you want to know why we're experiencing so much inflation, why the price of everything is going up, why your dollars aren't going as far, that's the reason. The Federal Reserve, aided by Congress and the Treasury Department, are debasing your dollars. And that's just a fancy way of saying they are creating more dollars. And when they do that, the value of the dollars you own go down. So their plan is to continue to debase the dollar. It's going to be to continue to reduce the purchasing power of the dollars that you hold. Now, Kashkari, somehow not aware of the irony on this, last week said, we're quoting, Bitcoin remains worthless after 12 years. First of all, Bitcoin's been around for more than 12 years, but that's not the key point. Bitcoin at this point is the sixth largest monetary asset in the world. Credit to One Base Money on X for that. He put up the chart. But the value of Bitcoin, Rob, is its scarcity. Bitcoin has a hard cap of 21 million coins. No more than that will ever be created. So unlike fiat currency, fiat is just a fancy name for a government-sponsored currency like the dollar. Bitcoin can't be debased. Kashkari, while he is in the process of debasing the dollar down to zero, is criticizing Bitcoin, which is growing in purchasing power and can't be debased. How is that not the craziest thing you've heard in the central banking world this week?
Gary, it seems like the only thing that's worthless is the idea, and especially what CASHkari is saying here, that endless money printing doesn't have consequences. I know your position, Bitcoin being a hedge against inflation. Tell us again how critical it is for individuals to take this seriously, especially with the amount of printing we're seeing these days.
Well, it is only important if you care about not being poor. If you want to be poor, then great. You know, the dollars you
Mark that
have,
one, Andrew. We need that in a quote, I believe,
right?
somewhere on some graphic.
Right. Because, you know, Rob, we've talked about this a lot. You cannot save in dollars. And the reason is the purchasing power of those dollars will go down each year. And, you know, just last week, whenever anybody on X was talking about Kashkari saying Bitcoin is worthless, we put up a graph showing the purchasing power of the US dollar since the establishment of the Federal Reserve about 110 years ago, 111 years ago, something like that. And what you see is that the purchasing power of the dollar has been crushed as the number of dollars in circulation have increased. And that will continue. They have made it crystal clear that's going to continue. So if you want to hold dollars, the purchasing power of those dollars will decline. If you want to make money, you either need to be in one, assets that can produce cash and grow. So in our case, we're looking at publicly traded equities, at stocks. We invest in high growth stocks where we feel like there's the opportunity to make 2, 3, 4, 10 times your money over, you know, the next 3, 5, 7 years, something like that. Alternatively, you want to invest in other kinds of monetary assets where you can't just easily create so many more. So we've spoken a lot about gold and Bitcoin. Just this year at the last halving, Bitcoin became harder than gold, which is just a fancy way of saying that the rate of increase in the supply of Bitcoin as a percentage of the supply of Bitcoin is now lower than it is with gold. And the rate of gold inflation, meaning the increase in gold supply every year, tends to be about 1.5%, 2%. Bitcoin's even lower than that right now. The dollar, much, much higher. And so that's why we're seeing gold at all-time highs, Bitcoin at near all-time highs after being up more than 2x this year. And the dollar continues to lose purchasing power. So, we are seeing the real-time results of good monetary policy versus bad monetary policy. And the Federal Reserve is on the side of bad monetary policy. Kashkari has this one wrong.